So, I didn't really write an intro or anything, but I'll just get into it. Uh, actually, you know what? Let me start this out with, this is what I kind of wanted to talk to everybody about before we start practice. But I've always been a math guy. When I'm crossing the street, I walk the hypotenuse to minimize steps taken. And when I'm making sandwiches, I count out each slice of cheese, measure everything, and place it in a geometrically consistent pattern to ensure each bite's gonna be the same. I know it's weird, but see, it's how I think, and I can't really help it. So when it comes to League Fives in particular, I'm pretty much the same way. When I analyze how we play, when I think about the game, to me it's always been crystal clear that if the average expected result of a play is the greatest, then it's the right play. Factoring in risk and weighted odds for variables you don't know, you can estimate which option is most likely to be successful and most likely to achieve positive outcomes. So when I look at a roster, my first instinct is to say, okay, the plays Tyler makes have higher average outcomes than the plays each of you make. So let's have him make plays while we sit back and don't lose. And from a numbers perspective, if you look at it like it's a mathematical model, I definitely stand by the fact that that's the best thing we can do. But this isn't a mathematical model, unfortunately for my brain. We're not robots, we're people. After our losses against Chan and against Falcons, and after hearing what Manbear, Free Shooter, Dubs, Drop Shot had to say, I thought really long and hard about why my mathematical model, and I think Tyler has a similar thought process to me, wasn't really producing results. So for context, my second biggest interest besides League is the NBA. And I don't know why my brain decided to remember this, but it did. And it kind of struck me in a way that shook at my perspective over the weekend. I remembered a post-game interview from last year. Thought about showing it to you guys, but I couldn't really be bothered to find it, honestly. In the interview, Steve Kerr was asked why he doesn't use the Steph Curry, Kevin Durant pick and roll more often. And for context, that shit's pretty much unguardable. It's two of the best offensive players doing a classic move that is one of the most consistent ways to create space to, generate offense. And that year, by the numbers, it was a play that netted the most points per possession out of every offensive play. Literally the most efficient offensive play in basketball. And yet Steve Kerr rarely called for it to happen, rarely even used it even in the finals. So the reporter asked why, and he answered, and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have perfect memory, that this is what he said. When I was a player, I wasn't the star by any means. I had one job, and it was to space the floor, hit open threes. And he knew what it was like to not really touch the ball for 7 minutes at a time, to be open and nobody's passing it to you. He said it's frustrating, really frustrating, and I definitely tried my best not to let it impact my effort, but I'm only human. Contrast that with when I was contributing on offense, when I felt valuable, I could feel my hustle increasing. So I've translated that philosophy to how I coach. When we get everyone involved, play team basketball, everyone touches the ball, everyone's playing harder and we win more games. And the stats guys back it up. There's a whole bunch of metrics and data analysis that have shown that my philosophy is the correct philosophy. So back to League. Like I said, I'm a math guy. I'm not really super in tune with your guys' emotions, or not even really my own. But I trust that Steve Kerr knows better than me. And I've seen the level of play, the effort, the mistakes, even how much we care to a degree, kind of drift off and wane when we don't feel like we're all contributing and we're valuable. I've had conversations with each of you guys. I don't want to call anybody out or anything, but I have conversations with each of you guys that have kind of gone along those lines, and I've seen the frustration. And I've seen maybe we could talk about Hakeem because he's not here. I've definitely seen him actually play worse as a result of just us having zero faith in him. So back to Steve Kerr. I want to implement that Steve philosophy into how we play. And I'll be honest, it's weird to me because, like I said, by the numbers, it doesn't fully make sense, but I think it's important that we all feel like we're contributing and it's we're all valuable to the team, which we are. I think at the core, it's a mindset thing. None of us can really win without each other. We all need to be playing our best, giving it our all, and we need to, believe in each other that our best effort will collectively win us games. And as far as implementing that, changing that mindset, I think, is number one. And then number two, to change the philosophy, and I think I've mentioned this before to one of you guys, I forgot which one of you guys, change the philosophy from, oh, okay, you're making mistakes, let's play completely passive so you can't fuck up the game. And that has literally been directly said to a couple of you guys before. And when we're in a tough series and you're having an off day, I get it, right? But as an overall philosophy, I think we ought to change it from that to, oh, you're making mistakes, let's go to replay, let's go over them so that next time you can make the play right. We should be empowering each other, using our collective knowledge to help each other improve, because that's how we're really going to get better at the game, each of us, and grow long term. And then 3, and this goes along with the same lines as number 2, is that I want each of us to have more autonomy to make decisions in Champ Select. We should all know our role, our job, how we can impact the game, and our matchup. If somebody thinks X or Y champion's the play, we should trust them, trust their knowledge, and play it, see how it works out. If some random champion we pick was not the play, we talk about it afterwards, and the person learns. And I think that's, again, how we learn. We learn by a little bit of trial and error, a little bit of discussion, but I think neither of those can happen if we don't trust each other. So I just think that's better than never even trying it, than never even trusting oh, you can play that, or maybe you can have a good impact in that, you can make those win conditions work. I definitely think that trial and error will be better for us long term than to not trust each other to make those kind of decisions. And that's pretty much all I have to say. What do you guys think?